All right, so I just got finished watching the PlayStation 5 Reveal event that happened today, and I just really need to talk about it. But in this video, we're gonna be talking about the games I liked. Now, I should honestly say that everything that was shown, I liked almost every single game, but I just want to touch on the few that really struck a chord with me and that I thought really looked good, and that aligned with what I like. Um, so the first is going to be the very first game they showed. I mean, this is kind of maybe an obvious one, but Spider-Man Miles Morales. So I have not played the first Spider-Man game, but I've heard amazing things. I've seen quite a bit of gameplay and it looks very good. And I mean, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero in general, so I'm always excited about a Spider-Man game. And Miles Morales in general. Now, I know he had a TV show, or there was like a TV show that he was in, but I know him from Into the Spider-Verse. I really, really love that movie. And I just really got to like his character. Now, granted, I think it is probably going to be a bit different in the game because he does look a bit older. And they do talk about his dad seemingly in the past tense, which is not the case in the movie. But more getting into Spider-Man Morales' abilities, I guess. I really like his abilities as a Spider-Man. Like, he has like electricity powers. Like, I've always been a very big fan of like electricity or lightning powers, because probably a Vanel or a Neru, depending on how you want to say it, from One Piece. That really got me into it. So now whenever I see a character with lightning abilities, if I can speak, I just really love it. And like whenever I fantasize about having a superpower, it's like, yo, lightning, that's my go-to. And then he also has like invisibility. So I'm wondering if this game is going to play a bit differently and take those specific powers in mind. Now, I'm also wondering if this game will be as long as the previous Spider-Man or if it'll be shorter. I assume it's going to be reusing a lot of the assets that were in the first game because obviously the PlayStation 5 can handle way more than the PS4, but like the Spider-Man game was like pushing the PS4. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're using like largely the same assets, just maybe beefing them up a little bit. But the biggest thing about this is that it's a launch game. So, oh my God, like that is an amazing launch game. The first Spider-Man game got critical reviews. It sold really well. So that was an amazing pick as a launch game. And I know I'm gonna freaking play it at launch. Shit, like that's a really good launch game. I'm definitely gonna have to play the first one though. I do own like the complete edition on PlayStation 4. I picked it up, but I have yet to play it. Geez, yeah, Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to see what kind of direction it's going to go in. And I'm not sure if like OG Spider-Man is going to be in it. You do hear him talking in the trailer they showed. So he might be in it at like the beginning. Like, I don't know, maybe he's defeated or maybe he goes on vacation or something. I don't freaking know. Because maybe it'll be comparable to Into the Spider-Verse where like Spider-Man dies. Maybe he'll die. But I don't know. I really have no clue. I'm sure maybe more of these questions I have will be answered once I play the first game. But there's still so much that I want to learn because Miles Morales, I really love that character, like probably way more than Peter Parker. So I'm really excited for this game. So yeah, that was the first game they showed, and it's a launch game. So yeah, that was Spider-Man Miles Morales. So the next game is probably the one that I'm most excited about out of every single thing that they showed because which is crazy because like I said earlier, I pretty much liked everything that they showed. But this one just really stood out to me, and it was Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Now this game, which is a running theme with like everything that they showed, but it just looks absolutely beautiful. And I really love the aesthetic with its like more cartoony vibe, kind of like Breath of the Wild. And I don't know, it just looked really, really cool. And you can tell it has like some grim or dark undertones, based on what happens at like the beginning of the trailer. But then it jumps more into like more of like a natural setting, again kind of like Breath of the Wild, and it just looks so cool. I really like that connecting factor with the natural world and like the Asian aesthetic with like the way she looks and like the music that was playing in the background. It was just like, oh my gosh, I was so happy like watching that trailer. I was like, yo, this looks really good. And then there were also those little black things. They kind of reminded me of like Pikmin or something. And then like the combat looked good too. So like pretty much everything that they showed just looked really, really cool. And at one point there was also like this settlement or like this building, this large building that they showed, and I was just blown away by the scale of it all. And if it's like kind of like openish or maybe like an open world aspect, maybe not open world, but just like maybe large areas to explore, that would be crazy. Like it just looked so amazing. And again, this is probably my most anticipated game that they showed. Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I saw the title, I was like, yeah, Bridge of Spirits? Or is she like the Avatar? You know, she's connecting this world and the spirit world or something. And then they also showed like the main antagonist, I'm assuming. He looked like pretty evil. I'm assuming he's like a dark spirit or like an evil spirit or something along those lines. Or maybe somebody that's like using evil spirits to further his aims. But unfortunately, there was no release date, so it could be probably far off. But I mean, it just looked so good. And whenever that game does come out, I'm definitely going to pick it up, because from what I saw, from what they showed today, it blew me away. And it's easily my favorite game of this entire reveal event. And there were a lot of games. Like, that's high praise. So yeah, Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I'm really excited for that one. Really excited to see what's in store with that one. The next game is going to be Ghostwire Tokyo. So I kind of have a thing for like Asian games or like games in Japan, because you know, I'm big on anime and stuff like that. But it just looked really cool. It's kind of out of my wheelhouse. It's not totally the kind of game that I go for with like the horror aspect. But I mean, the idea of being like an exorcist in Tokyo, wiping out like these evil spirits, just sounds so cool. And the gameplay looked cool. And as I said, this is going to be a running theme, but it just looked very beautiful. I don't know. I was not expecting it to be first person though. When they first showed it, I was like, okay, this is gonna be like third person. And then they jumped into first person, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but I really like the look of it. He's like, kind of like if you play Overwatch, like and you play Zenyatta, you know, Zenyatta uses his hand, he's like bam, 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 like making like signs with his hands, and it was like exactly like that in this game. He was like making hand signs and hand signals and doing stuff with his hands, casting like different spells or something, or doing different abilities, and it just looked really cool. And just like the different varied designs for like the evil spirits, or the yokai, I'm just gonna call them, it was very interesting. It looked really cool. And I don't know if this is going to be a gameplay aspect, but seeing him ride around on his motorcycle was cool as well. And there was also something in the trailer. There was like this blue spirit or blue entity that was flying down from the sky, and then it joined him on his motorcycle, and then like materialized into a person. So I wonder if that's going to be like a partner that you have, or if there's going to be some mechanic that you play as multiple people. I'm really interested to see. And I also wonder if there's going to be more regular life aspects to this, like maybe not regular life, but aspects of the game where it's not just exercising spirits. Maybe it'll be more like in the realish world, you know what I mean? Like walking around with regular people and then finding like an evil presence or something and then going investigating, or if it will just be like straight into the like subjugation quest the whole time. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm explaining it that well, but basically, let me try again. I wonder if there's going to be like instead of just purely being in like evil zones the whole time, I wonder if there's going to be more of just like walking around regular Tokyo and then going into the evil zones, as opposed to just being in the evil zones. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It looks really cool. It's not the kind of game I usually go for, but the aesthetic definitely won me over, and I'm excited to see what that one has in store. And it's at a 2021 release, so they're gonna have a couple, like another year to polish the game. But I'm excited to see when that one comes out, because it looks really cool. All right, the next game is one that I've had my eye on for a while, and it's Godfall. Now, I don't really remember exactly when they first revealed it, but when they did, I was just like, yo, this game is really cool. like the designs of the armor and whatnot, and like I'm assuming you're playing as like a god or like a demigod, or you're trying to become a god, something along those lines, but it just looks really, really cool. And it kind of reminds me of like a For Honor, but maybe not as complex with like the combat, because the combat is 100% going to be the focus of the game. So I'm assuming it's going to be deep combat, maybe not as deep as For Honor, but it seems like it's going to be very challenging, deep combat, and it just looks really cool, like playing as a god, or like a goddish entity with this like cool ass design and fighting all these cool enemies. Maybe some are humanoid like you, maybe are like some of these like big monsters. It just looks so great, and it's a launch title. And again, this is one that I've had my eye on for a very long time. And honestly, that's probably my second most anticipated game that they showed. The design of it just really looks cool to me. Like there was this one point in the trailer where it was like a guy that had like several like ghost blades around him, and he was like shooting them off, and that just looked so cool. Because there's a light novel that I read there where there's like a sword that kind of does something similar, or like breaks into multiple fragments and like swirls around your body, and that's a pretty common typical idea, but it's just so cool. I liked seeing that. Yeah, that's a game I'm very excited for. Probably more than Spider-Man, which is another launch title. But yeah, so that was what is it? Godfall. Like, yeah, that's what I'm keeping my eye on, because that looks so cool. I can't wait to see more from that. The next one is one that won me over like throughout the course of the trailer, and it's Little Devil Inside. So they first showed it, and I wasn't really sure what it was about, but the trailer just kept on going, and it just won me over. I think it looked to be more open world as well, and the aesthetic is kind of like papery, if that makes sense. But it just looked really cool, like exploring, like the world looked really good, the combat looked really good. I don't even know. It just looked really good, and I really liked the aesthetic. It was something different. I don't really think I've ever played a game with that kind of aesthetic, so I'm really looking forward to that one. And there was also like this dynamic between that guy, like the main guy, which was like the combat focused character, and then there was also like this old butler looking guy. Is his name Sebastian? We'll find out. But he looked like he was just going day-to-day life, doing his thing. So I'm really curious what the dynamic between those two is going to be. But the title got me thinking. It's called Little Devil Inside, right? So I'm wondering if this is happening within that old man's imagination or something along those lines. Because what was shown with the old man kind of going just like day-to-day regular life, and then what was shown with like the ranger guy exploring the world, like shooting and riding wild animals, fighting monsters, that's more supernatural. That doesn't really fit with the same vibe as what Old Man presented. So I don't think they're happening in the same world simultaneously. I think it's going to be more of a thing where it's like in the old man's imagination or something along those lines. So I'm just really excited to see what happens, because honestly, either one of the two premises sounds really cool, just like the adventuring aspect, but also just like the day-to-day life of the old guy. Like those could both be standalone games that I would be interested in. But them being tied together, that just made it all the more intriguing for me. And again, like seeing the combat and the exploration is just what really won me over with this game. It just looked so cool. The aesthetic is really pleasing to me. Yeah, Little Devil Inside is one that won me over, and I'm actually really excited for it. But unfortunately, there was no release date. So there are a couple games that didn't really have release dates, so it's kind of hard for me to judge if that means that they're not very far along in development, or if they just didn't want to reveal the release date for some reason. But I hope that game comes out sooner rather than later, because it just looked really cool. And I want to get my hands on it. I really want to see what that game's all about. Yeah, so Little Devil Inside. The next game was Deathloop. Now, the premise of this game kind of reminds me of All You Need Is Kill, which is a light novel turned manga turned kind of movie that I made a video about maybe like a month or two ago. But basically, what ties these two together and why there was a similarity in my mind was that there's a time loop. The character is stuck in a time loop and he's trying to escape, but he keeps on dying and dying and dying and dying, and he's improving, and he's trying to escape this loop. And it just sounded really, really intriguing to me because I really love All You Need Is Kill. But moving beyond that, beyond the premise, the game just looks really cool. So you play as an assassin, I guess, and you're also like combating like a rival assassin. Now, the way they made it sound in the trailer was different than what like the words were appearing were, because the main character you play as, which I assume that's the main character you play as, was basically saying that the rival assassin is somebody that works for the person that you're trying to kill. But like the text was saying that it's rival assassins stuck in a time loop. So I'm kind of confused between the dynamic between the two. Like, are you playing like is she just another obstacle in the path, or is she somebody that's on the path with you? You know what I mean? And there was also an interesting segment where at the end of the trailer, it looks like you actually play as her, which is really, really cool. So I guess it's not just going to be the guy you play as potentially. But getting back to the gameplay, it just looked really cool. The art style was a little bit different, but the combat looked really cool. Obviously, it's more like assassination, so it's not like there's like straight up brawling. It's more like quick kills. But there was like really cool makeshift weapon. Like there was like a nail gun that you were shooting people with. I don't know, shit was getting wild. And I just really liked the aesthetic of the trailer, like beyond the gameplay, just like the way they presented it, with like the graphics they showed was really, really cool. And I don't know, I really liked it. Immediately when they said time loop, my ears perked up and I was like, yo, that sounds kind of interesting. I might be into this. And like I was, so I really want that game. And like another thing, interesting thing about it was that it was a black protagonist. Like you don't really see that often in games. And I don't know, that's just a nice little inclusion thing that I liked. And also the rival assassin was also black as well. Not that that's like a big selling point for me. I just thought that was a really nice thing to see. And there should be more diverse protagonists in games, not just like the stereotypical white male. Give us females, give us people of different ethnicities and origins. I really want to see that kind of stuff. So it's, yeah, again, not really a selling point for me, but it's something I liked to see. And yeah, so I really, really like that game, Time Loop. I'm really excited for that one actually. Yeah. No, Death Loop, not Time Loop, Death Loop. Because you know you're dying, and it's death, and it's a loop. Death loop. Okay, the last two games I want to talk about are both heavy hitters. But first, let's talk Demon Souls. So, I shouldn't have said that. Before we talk Demon Souls, let's talk Dark Souls, specifically 3. So, I never thought I'd play a Dark Souls game, right? But my friend actually kept on badgering me and recommending me to play Dark Souls 3. And I'm currently playing through that game now. I have a couple playthrough episodes up on my channel. I just beat the base game. I'm going to play the DLC soon. I also have a boss video coming up soon for those that are interested in that, because my playthroughs are kind of boring, because there was not really an audience for me to interact with, and sometimes I was kind of tired. So they're not really that exciting to watch, but I just wanted to point that out for those that are interested, specifically in the boss video that I'm making soon, and a potential review as well. But enough shameless plugging. Let's talk back to my original point, and that is that, you know, my friend got me to play Dark Souls 3, and I just really, really loved it. The world was super, super cool. The lore, well, they don't really tell you in the game. From what I've seen, in the game from what I've seen, and just like from the research that I've done, it is so amazing. And I just really love like the challenging but rewarding combat, and the different magic systems, and the different combat systems, and the skills, and the enemy variety, and the epicness that is each boss encounter. Like, it surprised me. I didn't think that I would like Dark Souls 3, but I'm just loving it so much. And, you know, that's gotten me really, really interested in Demon Souls, which is obviously the progenitor of the Dark Souls series, or just the Soulborne series in general. I'm very, very excited to see what the progenitor did. And it also seems like it's maybe going to be a remake, but more likely a remaster. But either way, like, there was no gameplay shown, but the trailer was like very high quality. So I assume the game will also be very high quality. It is getting done by Blue Point, which also did, I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but they just did a successful remaster of the game lately. I'm forgetting the name of that game, but that port was really, really solid. So I have confidence in them that they're going to make a very, very good port, or remaster / remake of Demon's Souls as well. I don't know, it was really, really cool, and I'm excited to see what that game does, because even though it's the progenitor of the Soul series, not a lot of people have played it. It's kind of one that's fallen in the wayside. Most people have played Bloodborne, most people have played Dark Souls. Not that many people have played Demon's Souls. So I'm sure it's going to sell very, very well, because the audience for those types of games is just growing and growing. And I'm sure the remaster, remake, whatever it ends up being, is going to be very, very good. And I'm a new fan. I'm sure there are a lot of other new fans as well. Yeah, Demon's Souls. So a big game. And what was the release date on that one? I got it written down. Let's see. There was no release date. My bad. So yeah, I have no clue when that game's coming out. Probably later, since there was no gameplay shown. It was just a cinematic trailer. But what they did show looked really cool. So I'm excited for that one. All right, so the final game I want to talk about is a very, very big game. Horizon 2 Forbidden West. So the OG Horizon, I really love that game. It came out side by side with Breath of the Wild, and I played Breath of the Wild first, and then I played Horizon. But I love Horizon Zero Dawn so, so much. I've not played the DLC Frozen Wilds. I have to get back to that. I'll probably replay the game as well as the DLC when 2 comes like closer around the corner. But that game, I just really love it. I really love the world. I really love Aloy. I really love the combat and the machines and all the characters and the story. Oh, the story was so good. Like, the post-apocalyptic world was crazy. Like, yo, how did this happen? And just slowly unraveling the story and exploring this amazing world, and seeing like the different peoples that have arisen between the time of the collapse and where we are now is just so, it was so rewarding. I really loved that. And it was a beautiful game as well. It was one of the most beautiful games on the PlayStation 4. So I have very high hopes for Horizon 2, because I know it's going to look even better than the original. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for Horizon 2, the Forbidden West. The last game kind of ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. It ended like the story arc that it set out to tell, but it definitely ended on a point that it could easily be expanded upon. So I'm excited to see about how it expands upon that. And then another thing is, I was thinking about what kind of story is 2 going to tell, because the original Horizon Zero Dawn told the story of how the world collapsed and how it came to be where it is. And, why are all these machines around? Like, what are these machines? So I'm thinking that Horizon 2 is going to tell a story of the future, because Horizon 1 told a story of the past and how it relates to the present. And I think that Horizon 2 is going to tell a story of the present and how it will go into the future. How are we going to shape this world for the future? You know what I mean? How are we going to live for the future? Now that we have the answers from the past that we've sought, now that we learned what we wanted to know, how do we move beyond? How do we improve ourselves? What do we do now? So I'm just really excited to see the story that it tells. And Aloy, I just really, really love her character. Seeing her progress from a child into a young adult was a really, really good journey. And I really loved that. And I just want to see how she'll progress even further in this next game. Another thing was like the civilizations in the first game. Like they were really cool, especially like the big capital city in the first game. I'm not remembering the name, but like how there were like elevators, like stuff like that. Like how the civilization is progressing again, like, or how it's like really sophisticated in some areas but not really in other areas. Like, so I'm really excited to see like civilizations that are going to be present in this new game, and just like the new environments as well. It just looked very breathtaking. And there was also underwater portions as well, which, if I'm recalling correctly, was not present in the first game. So that looks really cool. If they're going the underwater route, maybe there will be like sky combat with like maybe capturing like mechanical giant birds or something. I don't know. But that just seems like a really, really cool idea. If they're going underwater, why not go in the sky too, right? And then as for like the main antagonist, honestly, I'm kind of blurry on how the last game ended, but from what the trailer showed, it was like this red thing that was like taking over life or like consuming life, but it also seemed to be corrupting machines. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to be different from what the first game did in terms of like the big enemy, because it looked kind of similar, but I'm interested to seeing how it differs. But yeah, Horizon 2 Forbidden West, it was the perfect note to end on. That was a major game. I believe Guerrilla developed it, right? And that was their first open world game, Horizon 1. And what they did with that game for it being their first open world game was absolutely astounding. So I'm beyond excited for Horizon 2 and seeing how they improve on it now that they have more of an idea of how to build an open world game, and they've received feedback on what could be better. I don't even know. That game is going to be a masterpiece. I'm calling it right now. If they somehow manage to mess it up, like that's crazy. But yo, that is going to be so crazy. There was no release date again, which is a running theme for what they showed, especially with the ones that I thought really looked good for me. But yeah, it was one that I'm very excited for. Alright guys, so those were the 8 major games that I wanted to touch on. There were so many more talked about in this reveal event, but these were just the ones that really stood out to me, and the ones that thought that I thought appealed to me. I'm sure others are going to be ones that I enjoy, but these are the ones that stood out to me initially. Unfortunately, most of them did not have release dates, but some of them did. 2 of them are even launch titles, so I'm really excited for that. Yeah, so what did you guys think of the PlayStation 5 reveal? What were your favorite games shown? Are any of the ones that I talked about ones that you liked? Has my talking about any of them piqued your interest in them, even more so than the original trailers? I'm just really excited to hear your guys' thoughts, because this PlayStation 5 reveal is really crazy. It is unfortunate that we did not get an E3 this year, but you know, we're getting all these amazing announcements instead. And it's kind of funny because I'm pretty sure this PlayStation 5 reveal is taking place when E3 would have taken place originally, or E3 would have like just been ending right now, right? But yeah, I was super excited to watch this PlayStation 5 reveal event, and I'll definitely make a few more videos on it. But yeah, this was just the initial one I wanted to make, talking about my favorite games. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed anything I had to say. Thank you guys for watching, guys. If you like this video, then please like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.